Hey, thanks for watching Four Color Commentary. I'm Mark Allen, and interesting news out of the comic book, or I should say, pop culture auction world today. Story story on ArtFixDaily.com out of Cranston, Rhode Island, talking about some impressive comic sales and a record for one particular very important vintage comic. Um, we're not going to talk about the Madam Puppet over here because she has, quite frankly, always creeped me out. And so I'll leave that for you to investigate on your own. I'll leave a link to the story in the description if I remember, if she doesn't scare me too badly. But no, this was an auction held. This was let's see, what is a spring comic, toy, and sports auction held May 21st by Bruno and Company Auctioneers. So this has been a few days ago in Cranston, in the Cranston Gallery. This was a online and live auction. But there was a copy a copy of Timely Comics, Marvel Mystery Comics number 9 from July 1940, sold for $40,000. $40,000. That is an impressive. I don't know if that in and of itself is a record, but that's of course, it's timely. It's Marvel Mystery Comics. It's and probably any comic out of that run. I'm not a Golden Age expert, but I would say they're getting to the point where they always command impressive prices. It was the copy of Timely Comics Marvel Mystery Comics number 9 was the auction's expected top lot, as it was number 33 on Overstreet's top 100 Golden Age comics list. So a respectable spot on that. Any spot on that top 100 list is respectable. Featured the book featured the second Submariner. I'm trying to get that to highlight. Where are you? There you go. The book featured the second Submariner cover with an iconic Human Torch versus Submariner battle, plus great artwork by Bill Everett and Alex Schomburg, of course, who is the man. It had a mid-level grade of CGC 4.0. So 4.0 for $40,000 for Marvel Mystery Comics number 9. Not a bad, I mean, look, if you have it, that's the kind of book you drop that on, right? I mean, that's an iconic book. It is part of history. It is a very desirable book in any grade. But that's not a bad grade for a comic of that pedigree and of that age. And so 4.0 is I'm sure the person who won that auction is glad they landed that. Now, this is the record breaker, a copy of Marvel Comics Fantastic Four number 1, graded CGC 2.0, featuring the origin and first appearance of the Fantastic Four and Mole Man, finished at $18,750. While it may not have been the most expensive comic in the auction, the Fantastic Four number 1 was a great result and new record for the grade. That, according to Travis Landry, a Bruno and Company auctioneer and the firm's director of pop culture. He says, I'm sure its value will only continue to rise over time. And I'm sure that's true. This is the Fantastic Four number 1. This is wow. That's one of the all-time grails of comic book collecting, of pop culture collecting, I could say. You could call it that quite honestly these days. This is one of the things that when I read stuff like this, I'm always gratified because I grew up at 54 years old. I was of the generation that comics were still throwaway entertainment. You weren't going to get anything out of comics. Comics were never going to be great investables. I mean, even back in the when I was a child, if I was to have told one of my parents, Mom, Dad, if we keep these comics, if we keep this old comic, it may one day be worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, even $1 million, my parents would have laughed at me. And I understand that. I'm not saying they would have been wrong to do that because who could have expected? But so anyway, some really amazing prices here. Now, again, that Fantastic Four number 1 was the record, but an all-time high for that grade. But a copy of Marvel Comics Amazing Spider-Man number 1, graded CGC 1.8 with the first appearance of J. Jonah Jameson and Chameleon, the first Fantastic Four crossover, plus a retelling of the origin of Spider-Man, was bought brought $10,938. Actually, for a copy of, I don't know what to think about that. Amazing Spider-Man #1. Okay, not the first appearance of Spider-Man, but and low grade 1.8, but 10,930, almost $11,000. That's pretty amazing. Also a copy of Marvel. Let me get my cursor to work here. It's not going to do it. There we go. Also a copy of Marvel Comics X-Men #1, featuring the origin and first appearance of X-Men and Magneto, graded CGC 5.0, with a slight restoration, changed hands for $10,625. That one surprises me a bit, even though it's 5.0. I believed this all this time, and I thought that a restoration was kind of that was a red mark, a red check. You don't want restoration on your comics. I thought maybe that's just certain collectors, but who am I? I don't have a single slab, so I don't know. 10,000. I'm not saying I would have paid it. I would have bought the if I had it, I would have bought the Fantastic Four for what they gave for it. I would have bought the Marvel Mystery Stories. I would have even bought the Amazing Spider-Man #1, but I don't know about the X-Men #1 for 10 grand. But one last thing on here that was kind of interesting to me was a 1978. I'll show you the picture up here in a minute. A 1978 Canadian Kenner. I don't even understand some of this because I'm not an action figure guy. A 1978 Canadian Kenner Star Wars 20B back Boba Fett action figure, part of an original owner collection featured throughout the auction, graded CAS 75, hammered for $4,625. I didn't understand half of that. Don't know what a 20B back is. It is a carded Boba Fett action figure from 1978. I'm familiar, obviously, with the first Star Wars figures. I don't know what the grade CAS 75 is, but it went for $4,625. There's a picture of it there, and but to the left. But anyway, just some interesting prices, some interesting auctions here, auction results, and I should say again, it boggles the mind. Would have never, as a kid, would have never guessed really that this kind of thing would happen to these beloved comics, but they have honestly and actually become some key comics have become great investment items, and so it's just kind of an interesting phenomenon, interesting to see. But I just thought I might share that with you. Thought you might enjoy it, and might do a few more of these kind of stories in the future. But anyway. If you haven't commented, or if you haven't subscribed to this channel, do that. Leave a comment below, and just thanks for watching, and we'll see you next video.